It's finally time for football. Get ready, Browns fans. We're going off the leash.
I think they could be a 9 or a 10 win team. I mean, and I do like the makeup of this team. I think the style of play of what they want to do offensively suits Joe Flacco well. I think it is more of a traditional offensive style where you're taking some play action shots down the field, trying to run the football, and playing really good aggressive defense.
Optimism to start the show. Danny Cannell, 9 wins for the Browns. It's all starts on Sunday at the stadium. Joe Burrow and the Bengals coming to town. Welcome into a special edition of Off the Leash. Leah Doherty, Mark Schwab, and Orange Brown Reports. Fred Greetham. Guys, it is going to be one heck of a season. We've already got a tough 5 weeks. What kind of season are we looking at?
7-9 wins, according to Danny Cannell.
That feels very optimistic.
I'll tell you what, I have said a few times on our podcast and in other efforts here on 19 and 43 that I can tell you a story where the Browns are not bad, and the Browns win about 9 games. I don't know if it's a believable story. I don't know if it's a good story. Many would qualify it as fiction, but I can tell you a story where that happens because the offensive line plays well enough. Joe Flacco stays healthy and plays well enough. They run the ball. The defense overcomes the losses they have already sustained. And this team stays relatively healthy through the first 6-7 games and wins a few of them, and they go on and make a push by running the ball and playing enough defense. I don't think it's likely. That is not a prediction. I do see a possibility.
That's the pathway. You know, that's kind of what I felt like it was obvious what they wanted to do. When as offensively challenged as they were last year, they spent their top 2 picks on defense. And I've really been impressed with what I've seen with Mason Graham and Carson Schlesinger. I think they can both hit the ground running and make an impact. But if they can play good defense, the offense just needs to give them a chance. I mean, the offense last year was so bad. They were dead last in the NFL, 32nd. 15 points a game. It's not going to win you many games. So that's the path right there.
Yeah, the path for this team to be successful, we've said it all along, that's going to be the defense, right? You know what you're getting in a guy like Joe Flacco. He's consistent. Yeah, he's going to turn over the ball some, but you know he's a smart football player that's been there and he knows what he's doing. You bring back guys like Jerry Jeudy. You hope Cedric Tillman can stay healthy. He was really on track to have a good season last year. So if you can keep him healthy, we don't know what they have with Isaiah Bond and maybe some of those other guys as well. But if this defense can look like they looked in 23 and Flacco can be consistent, there's a chance. I don't know if it's 9-10 wins, but like Mark said, not bad.
I think the problem is that everyone does want them to go back to that 2023 form, but it takes a lot of work to get there, right? And a lot of those pieces are no longer with this team. You have Schlesinger. You have 12 rookies already that are on this active roster, and that is tough, right? You have to get them ready for this season. But 9-10 wins, I think that's a lot. But when you look at the offense, that is going to be the key. As you guys all said, that is a tough one because right now their tight ends and receivers pretty much rank at the bottom of the league. You're looking at Jerry Jeudy, and that's pretty much it. Said, yeah, did pretty well last year, but got hurt. We know he missed a couple of games towards the end of the season. Njoku, a lot of drops. We're talking about in practice, like, oh, looks like he was able to, hold on to the ball. But at this point, come on now. We shouldn't be talking about that at this point. We got to be a lot further along. And then, kind of shaky at running back at this point. So it's a lot of questions, more questions than answers for them. And we're talking about Sunday is their first game.
Yeah, they need Quinshon Judkins, and I know he's an unknown too because he's a rookie, but I think obviously they felt good enough to take him in the second round, and clearly he was why they wanted to move on from Nick Chubb. They figured they'd get a guy. They got a guy they like, and then they doubled up, of course, with Sampson, which tells you they didn't have him too far behind Chubb or too far behind Judkins. They just felt the value was too good to pass up in the fourth round. Well, they don't really have Quinshon yet, but I really think he can help them. I think a lot of people do. He looked phenomenal at times at Ohio State. Was really good in the SEC before that. They need that guy, and then you can talk about how they probably have a running game here.
It's a major blow to them. We'll see how much of a blow, but especially those first 6 games when it's like the strength of the schedule. You're playing 5 of those 6 games are against playoff teams from a year ago. 71-31 was those 6 teams' record. 5 went to playoffs. The worst record of the 6 was the Bengals, and they were 9-8. We know they're pretty good. So the Quinshon Judkins, you can't count on him now for this week, and who knows when he'll be back. But they that was their game plan. I mean, to get that running game going with the wide zone scheme and the veteran offensive linemen. So we'll see what happens.
Well, the good thing is we've heard a little bit of rumblings that Judkins could be close to signing. Not out there yet, but we'll see. Well, as we go to break, Joe Flacco, not a big fan of TikTok. Can you guys believe that?
That's crazy.
I can entirely believe that.
No TikTok dances. The fact that people, that is different too. This generation, the fact that people want to get on their phones and show people the most, like, that's embarrassing. You're an adult. Like, be an adult. Like, it's just like, I can't wrap my head around that. And like, I get it. Like, you have kids and like you want to have fun with your kids. Like, well, like, have fun with your kids in private. You know, that's what I think.
Fancy schmancy. On packages in this block. Okay.
Wait, what?
During the break, there. Oh, he said just.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And you're okay with me tossing to that? Okay.
They did the thing. The Browns made the move, right? They made a big move for a quarterback, and it completely backfired on them. But you cannot say that they did not try to win. They absolutely tried to win. It just failed, and now they are stuck with the consequences.
All right, Deshaun Watson could be making his return. We know that that's not going to possibly happen until week 9, dealing with that Achilles injury, that double Achilles injury at this point. What happens?
I think he plays. I think we see him in at least one game, knowing the Browns, knowing how this quarterback carousel goes. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him. I just feel like that's what's going to happen in Cleveland.
Imagine like a movie that was terrible, and then they made 3 sequels of it.
Yeah.
This would be part 4. Like, by the time we got to Superman 4 or Indiana Jones 4 or any of those, there was enough stock built up in the trilogy. You're like, oh, we need one more. No, we've seen this movie 3 times. We didn't want the sequel. We sure didn't get part 3, but the $260 million said we all had to watch it. Now we might get part 4. No, thank you. I don't want to see it. I'm sure we will for the reasons Leah put out there. Nobody wants to watch that. Please make it stop.
I don't understand what the big deal is. I think that he should play. Listen, if he's healthy, then he needs to go out there and he needs to play. I don't care if it's the trilogy, the whatever comes after that. He needs to play. If he's healthy, get your butt out in that field and try and redeem yourself at least.
Mark looks distraught. Okay, my question to y'all is, though.
He looked good in the videos.
If, say,
He's amazing on a treadmill.
Say, right, Flacco has a whole bunch of turnovers or maybe an injury or whatever, and he's not able to play. Would you rather play one of the rookies over?
Yes.
And what if maybe they have? What if in this scenario we've seen Dylan Gabriel for a couple games? Maybe we've seen Shador. Not good.
I would rather them start Kirk Herbstreit's dog.
Or I forgot Bailey Zappi, too.
Great.
Everyone wants to see Kirk Herbstreit's dog.
Bailey
Everyone wants to see
Zappi. Run him
Peter.
out there. Let's go.
Totally deal with
That's
the
why
dog.
they signed Bailey Zappi, to insulate themselves one more spot. Because, no, that would be the worst nightmare, I think. When your owner says we took a big swing and a miss, that kind of tells you, what the thinking of the organization. They traded to get a quarterback next year. If they don't feel Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders is the answer, I think he's out of the plans. But, yeah, like you said, 9 starting quarterbacks the last 2 years. Anything can happen.
Whoever's under center, you're going to need a healthy O-line. One guy they need to stay healthy is DeJuan Jones. I was able to catch up with him and talk about this upcoming season.
The big storyline with you headed into this season is the move, obviously, right tackle to left tackle. I know you got a little bit of work playing in a preseason game with that. So how have you felt so far with that transition?
This had its challenges, like I always said in my interviews, blocking miles is definitely a challenge. And just playing left tackle, the angles are different. And, I definitely am just still learning and developing. But, it was good to go out there and get the experience to play in the game. And, we're going to probably play on this Saturday. So it'll be good for us.
That's a big transition. So what was going through your mind when you realized, okay, this is going to be how I'm able to help the team the most, is making this move?
It was more so just, just try something new. It was kind of the same in college, going from right tackle to left tackle. So, I'm always up to anything.
Your first couple seasons here in Cleveland have ended in injury. I know you've been working really hard to get into great shape this offseason. I know you've lost some weight. What are the things that you've done to prepare yourself for a healthy year?
Just diet. I got with my nutritionist, Kelsey. That was my main piece this year, is just get with her and, just cut out the bad things I don't need. You still can, actually snack as much as you want to. You just got to make sure you do it at the right time and stuff like that. So really just hats off to Kelsey. That's been my person I've leaned on.
You've had 3 offensive line coaches in 3 years. What are you able to take from each of those guys now headed into this year?
They all come from the Bill tree, or that they work for Bill. So, I kind of really just stay from the Callahan tree and just use that to the new coach. And, they really don't have no issue with it. Just some things I tweak just because, that's just what Coach asks for. But for the most part, that's what, Bill and Coach Bloom are the kind of the same people.
Joe Flacco was named the starter for Week 1. What is it like to have him back here in Cleveland? What type of energy does he bring to this offense?
Just leadership. Not that the other guys don't. But he's just been there. He's done it 10 million times. So it's like, you just hats off to Joe and, just gonna do his thing.
Everyone in the offseason talked about a heightened intensity, whether it's in the weight room, out at practice. Do you feel that? Do you feel a difference from last year?
Yes. It just feels like my rookie year. I never try to compare years, but, you just get that vibe and energy from everybody. People want to, just be around each other. And, I like that. It helps team chemistry.
What makes you most excited about this season?
Just winning. Winning games, bringing the city happiness. It's definitely sad when people come to you, they talk to you about, just losing. I hate being listed as a loser. And so, I think that the main thing is just bringing wins to this team this year.
All right, and 4 out of the 5 O-linemen free agents after the season. We really need those guys to stay healthy if you're going to give any of these quarterbacks a chance when you get to it. Joel Bitonio, man, he's still here. Thank goodness.
He's the rock, right? I mean, he is what Joe Thomas was to them for so many years. And, of course, he played alongside Joe. He's the guy that we're at the point now, you're wondering every year, is he going to play? And thank goodness he kept saying yes, and he said yes, and he's back because it's one position you can cross off the list. One of the best guards in football. You don't need to fill that hole. And the question we all want to know is how good – that's what I say. I can tell you the story where they're good. This offensive line being good is part of that. How good you guys feel about that?
Joe Bitonio was going to retire when Kevin Stefanski talked to him about, and at the end of the year, about going back to the wide zone. That reinvigorated him, as well as Jack Conklin. Both of them said that. Three of those four have Pro Bowl resumes on them. They've been very good in the wide zone. The question is, will the running backs be able to do the Nick Chubb, and pull that rabbit out of the hat?
Yep.
All right, well, talk of the season is the quarterbacks, obviously. As we go on a break, we are going to hear from one guy who actually does believe in the quarterback of starting Joe Flacco.
Absolutely. I think they made the right move. They could greatly benefit from the experience and excellence of Joe Flacco sitting there and being in that quarterback room and watching what he does and talking about what he did and why he did it and what his decision-making was.
Otay. Oh, you're right.
I expect to get to the Super Bowl. That's our expectation every year. I expect to run back the Defensive Player of the Year. So, keeping both of those things in mind, I have to be the very best player I can be every single day, whether we're practicing or playing. As soon as I step foot in the building, I have to be the best version of myself.
Well, I think we can all agree that Defensive Player of the Year could be a possibility. I'm not sure about the Super Bowl just yet. Let's pump the brakes. But we do know Miles is Miles. But it does look like the linebacker room could have some problems. We know JOK is not playing this year. Jordan Hicks decided to retire. Didn't see that one coming. Jerome Baker is now the oldest basically in the room, who is coming back home to Cleveland. What happens there? We've heard a lot about Schlesinger already, Fred.
He's the key. I mean, they drafted him when they had offers at the top of the second round. They wanted him, and he's been up to what he was billed. He's been a tackling machine, but they're going to need that, and that's kind of a lot of pressure on the rookie. Devin Bush resurrected his career last year as a former top 10 pick of the Steelers, and when JOK went down, him and Mahmoud Diabate both had breakout-type seasons, and they need both of them to do that again. You mentioned Baker. They had an undrafted rookie, Easton Mascarenas-Arnold, made the team. So Schlesinger, though, is the key. It's some of them other guys because that front line, I think, is going to really penetrate, but they got to go make the tackles because that rushing defense last year gave up 129 yards a game, and they got to get that back in the top 10 to have a chance to have a good defense.
It's also important to note also that Jim Schwartz said that he's never seen a rookie really come in there and be able to take, like, just take control of the defense and really tell people what they need to be doing, where they need to be going, showing that passion. And that is a positive thing considering that is the leadership they're kind of looking for, right? And you definitely need it in that room. Yeah. Greg Newsome also said the same thing.
It was interesting, too, because Jerome Baker, when we spoke to him, he was talking about Carson. He said, this is a football guy. Like, he was like, if you just want a guy that you can sit down with and is just a football junkie and just truly loves the game and is so passionate about it, like, he's your guy for that. And so they seem very excited about him. He's been able to step into, I don't even know if I want to say it, like a leadership role just as a rookie.
He's calling the plays, as a rookie. And he reminds me, I'm dating myself, but when I first saw Clay Matthews show up, and I'm not talking about the one that played with the Packers, the one that played with the Browns. He has that blonde hair flowing out from the helmet. He looks like a football player.
Talk about the rookies wearing a green dot. Schwartz has said he did have, I think it was in Buffalo, he had a rookie wear the green dot before, and the kid did all right. But he's gone above and beyond what he said about that young man with Schlesinger. So, of course, that feels good. It's great. You like that. That's also one dude, right? You need that rookie to be right. You need that rookie to then stay healthy also.
Yeah, for sure we'll be seeing a lot of Schlesinger out there for sure. But we know we've talked a lot about the quarterbacks, at least on the offseason, and now is a dome coming to Brook Park? Is there or not? Will there be? Back and forth. We don't know what's happening. Fred, what's your thoughts on a dome?
I think when a billionaire buys 170 acres, that it's going to get done. And I think they're pretty determined. It's full steam ahead. I don't know all the legal ramifications, of the snags, but it seems like usually they'll get things worked out. That's my opinion.
What did he say? 99% confident that they're going to build the dome. Jimmy Haslam
Maybe
said.
a drone too.
Well, they'll probably have some drones in there. Maybe Mark could fly one.
That would be fun.
I kind of like the way that they're also starting to build those, new stadiums where they kind of just have it where it's not a complete dome, but it's just over where it's still protecting.
It's like
people.
A lid.
Yeah, like a lid that it's still protecting people at the top, and you're still getting the elements at the same time. I think that they will miss that part, unless it's a retractable, and I guess you just open it and close.
Yeah.
But then if it's snowing, why would you ever open it?
Yeah.
So
You wouldn't. I know a lot of people are upset about the weather element. I don't know how much that has truly helped the Browns over the years anyway. They lose all the time.
Well, I guess we'll see. Well, still to come, the most annoying player in the NFL.
There's no dictatorship here. It's not Art's dictatorship or mine. It's we want to talk about all the issues and all the things you're seeing, and whether it's a text message or coming to my room and having a conversation, like those are invaluable times to get on the same page with the guys, because when I'm out there, I don't want anything to be left unsaid.
All right, so the Action Network fans asked fans to pick the most annoying player in the league. No surprise here. Gosh, Aaron Rodgers just a runaway with that one, guys.
I think Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes should not be on that list.
Oh, totally, they should be. Travis
Kelce is only on it because of Taylor Swift. You can't penalize someone for who they're dating. Patrick Mahomes, everyone hates a winner, but he's a winner.
Patrick Mahomes should absolutely be on the list.
Because he's a winner?
No, because he whines when he doesn't get help from the official.
But people, same thing with Brady. If you win, people are going to villainize you. You don't like one team that just wins all the time. So I don't think that's valid.
I never had a problem with Tom Brady.
Okay,
Mahomes
well, everybody else did, Mark.
For me, my guy's not on the list. My guy's TJ Watt.
I was going to say, so who would you guys say are the most
TJ
annoying
Watt for
players?
me. One, I can't stand the verbal crying and whining when he doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year. That's supposed to be beneath a guy who plays it as well as he does. I think his celebration is ridiculous. I'm so tired of his stupid little rocket kick when he gets up there and makes a sack. And he is borderline dirty. The Steelers are a dirty team. They have been for decades. They always get away with it. They always have.
Hey.
Vontaze Burfict is villainized for a decade, yet all he did was treat the Steelers like the Steelers treat every other team. And TJ Watt plays along those lines. He's one of the golden children on one of the NFL's golden teams, so he gets away with it. Nobody cares, but he whines. His celebration's dumb, and he should clean up his act. Other than that, he's a whale of a guy.
You need to take it down a bunch. You're not too much on the Steelers, okay? Not too much on the Steelers. Don't be upset.
We are in the air in Cleveland, Ohio. I could go on and on and on and on.
Fred, what do you think?
Just in my crack thinking of this as it happened, TJ Watt immediately, but he already went on the rant on that one. I don't have a problem with Aaron Rodgers, being the most annoying because we've seen this kind of go on and on. It's time for that show to end.
I would say I would agree with Aaron Rodgers probably, or like George Pickens, like just for all the fights and locker
He's
room
on the
and
short list for
off
me.
the field stuff. That one would probably be like an easy throwaway one. But for Rodgers, I think so. I worked in Madison and covered him when he was in Green Bay, and I just remember the saga of like going into the darkness retreat, and then the days and days of me just being on my phone watching Pat McAfee when like I wasn't working and I could have a life outside of work, but I couldn't because I'm sitting there watching Pat McAfee on a Tuesday morning or whatever it was to see if he's going to announce a retirement and blow up my whole day. And just, if you're going to retire, just retire. Don't toy us along.
Well, listen, we do this on Tailgate. Let's try it out here. Blind resumes. I'm going to show you two different quarterbacks, okay? Over the last 17 starts, look at these numbers. Don't try and guess who it is. Just answer who you guys think the better quarterback is. Okay? You got 32 touchdown passes compared to 8 to 28. 11 interceptions to 18, 35 sacks to 38. Fred, what are you going with?
Well, I'm a statistic guy. I would go to the one on the left, but I'm sure that's not the right answer.
Yeah, I feel like we're trying to be tricked here. I feel like it's number 2.
Producer Chris is so good at this because clearly you look at the left, you're like, that's just better. So QB1, and I can't wait till the reveal.
It's going to be QB2. It's got to be.
But QB1, clearly better numbers at that point. Drum roll, please.
I knew it.
You have selected Joe Flacco.
See, I
over
picked correctly.
You guys, listen.
The annoying,
He's not annoying.
here.
Oh, that is
He's
really
a Texas
good.
Tech alum.
That was really good, Mark.
Thank you.
Listen, I think people got to start putting respect on Joe Flacco's name.
I think people
he's
do.
old, he's old. But no, a lot of people are not putting respect on his name right now, Leah. They are trying to disrespect this guy and his 20 years of experience because they want to see Shador or Dylan or whoever else.
Okay.
Like, come on now. It's Joe Flacco. This is the best option that you have. Let's not act like there was any other option. I would love to see the rookies do well, but there was no other option.
So you mean like right now people don't want Flacco? Because I feel like when you say the name Joe Flacco and just him as a whole, his whole body of work, I think he's a pretty well-respected quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Around the league he is, yeah. But I understand what she's saying. There is a drumbeat out there for folks that want to see Shador. They don't want to see Dylan Gabriel. We know what this is about.
Right.
They want Shador Sanders, and so that messaging is out there about Flacco.
All right, and then after the Bengals in week 1, don't forget, they have the Ravens in week 2. Joe Flacco is making his way back to Baltimore. That should be fun.
A lot of respect for Joe. Obviously, his homecoming back here will be a big story. We'll try to just focus on, playing the best game we can. But we know Joe can sling it. We know what he's capable of doing. We also know what kind of team they are and how tough they are to play against. So that'll be it won't be the focus right away directly, but it'll be in the back of our minds.
All right, all four quarterbacks are going to have a chance. If he hits the crossbar, then walkthrough's done tonight. Oh, yeah. All right, Jameis is up.
Hey, but I do want to tell y'all we got Bible study at 3:30 during the snack period, and y'all faith is going to determine me hitting this. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. I'm trying to tell y'all. Y'all already know. All right, who going to Bible study? Who going to Bible study?
Well, I tell you, if I miss anything, it is Jameis Winston. I miss him being a part of this team so much. Between him and Russell Wilson on one team, baby, you are going to church every single day. You are getting the word. So you got to love Jameis. But it's now been 6 straight years that a team drafting in the top 5 has made the playoffs. Let's see the bottom 5 teams from last year. Now, who's it going to be this year? You have the Titans, obviously the Browns, the Giants, the Patriots, and the Jaguars. What are we seeing happen with that? Does anyone go? Does nobody go?
Best chance for me here is the Jaguars, and I'd give the next best odds to the Patriots, but it would be well below the Jaguars. They have their quarterbacks. We don't know what Cam Ward is. We sure don't know what Jackson Dart is. I think we know what Russell Wilson is. I think we know what the Browns quarterback situation is. Trevor Lawrence, I know his development has been questioned and how far along is he. He's a guy. He can play in the NFL. And we think that New England has their guy as well. So Jacksonville would get the highest odds for me based on they have the most at quarterback.
I think the Patriots, I like Mike Vrabel. I liked him when he was here. I felt like if the Browns were going to make a change, that would have been the move to make because you had him here. He has a lot of the it factor, and I think he can turn that around. If any of those 5 have a chance, I think it would be the Patriots.
All right, going back to the Browns, I want you guys to give me a breakout player of who you guys think will just show out this season someone that maybe that a lot of people are not talking about. If you don't mind, let me go first, okay? I'm going to just shake it up a little bit, and I'm going to go with Isaiah Bond. And I say that because this guy had gotten there, only a day or two before everything, after his situation and his rehearsed speech that we heard that was crazy when he was his press conference when he was introduced at that point. But they felt so good about this guy already getting in the game, making the 53-man roster. Obviously, they see something in him, and they're ready to play him. And at this point, that is a great group right there that somebody needs to show up. And it could be said, I don't know, but I think Isaiah has a good chance to compete for it.
I think I would do Cedric Tillman probably for mine, just because he showed, which I don't know if that's cheating. It's not like a rookie or a young guy, right? But he showed so much promise, and he's just, if the kid can just stay healthy. And I think someone asked him that last week. They were like, what are your goals for the season or whatever? And he was like, I just want to be healthy. Just keep me healthy. He's been a really bright spot, and I think being with Flacco and the connection, they looked good at camp, and so that would be that. I've liked watching Dylan Sampson a lot too.
Wow, 2 Tennessee Vols. High five.
I didn't mean
Let's
to do
go,
that, but
baby.
if Ashley, I didn't mean to do that. But I like them both. They've looked good.
I agree with the Tillman. Got to know him in the offseason a little bit. But I'm going to go with another Isaiah McGuire. I like what I've seen of him. Him and Alex Wright both have had a great preseason training camp. And one of those two guys, if not both, I think could be the guy opposite Myles Garrett and really help entirely. I already talked about those two rookies. I think they are. But I think on defense, Isaiah McGuire. On offense, Jamari Thrash. Keep an eye on the young guy from Louisville.
All right, so I'm going to give you who I think it could be, and then I'm going to tell you who I want it to be, and I'll be quick. I think it could be, for the reasons we've already discussed, Schlesinger. He'll have the opportunity. But the guy I want it to be is Alex Wright, building off what you said. You want another guy to step up other than Myles Garrett. He's been a rotational pass rusher, mid-round pick. Sometimes those guys take it to a next level when they get that opportunity. I hope it's Alex Wright. It would help this defense tremendously.
I hope it's Harold Fannin, too. That's one that we haven't talked about.
I don't think he gets enough. I don't think he's too far in yet.
I said hope.
I know.
I said hope.
None of us said Mason Graham, by the way.
That is true.
So those are like we expect them to be. I don't know. Like that wasn't my racehorse. We expect them to be good.
Well, Off the Leash rolls on after this. Up next, we are talking about the biggest trade so far to happen in the NFL. We'll be right back after this break.
When you have the kind of extraordinary pass rush that Michael had, then the way to mitigate that pass rush is to run at you. I firmly made a commitment to Michael this spring, Micah, and paid him, and to pay him.
All right, Michael Parsons. I don't know who Michael Parsons is, but whoever he is, he must be good at the pass rush. What did you guys think about the trade? Cowboys getting rid of him? Well, giving him what he wanted.
Couldn't believe it. It's ridiculous, right? I mean, you look at this. This kind of went on downstate with the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson. You can at least somewhat understand the logic of the guy is looking for like his third contract. He's getting further on down. Micah Parsons, this is his second contract. This is when these guys make that money and they're in that prime. You're trying to win. You gave your quarterback a ton of money. You have CeeDee Lamb. You have other pieces. He's the most elite player, or one of the most elite players at his position, at an elite position. What are you doing? It's one of the dumbest things I've seen in a long time.
You know, it's trading for prospects, you know, basically. It's like the same argument with Myles Garrett. You know, the question is, what are you going to do with those picks? We've seen so many times them not getting it right. And so when you finally get the guy that you hit on and he's in his prime, I don't understand how you got better. You know, that's the question I always ask is, are they better now?
Right.
No, not wait for next year.
Well, I just think it's like embarrassing, the circus that happens in Dallas, and that it seems like he just feeds off of the drama, right? Jerry Jones, and if there's not drama, I'm going to go and I'm going to stir up more of it. And I honestly think like his ego got in the way of it, and the way that he didn't like how Micah Parsons was handling stuff and wanting to involve his agent, and he just wanted it to be done with a handshake. And so he was like, oh, we'll let him move. No one's calling it the Kenny Clark trade. Micah Parsons, he's the best player, and you let him go to Green Bay. It's great for the Packers, great for Green Bay, but I don't think Dallas gets better from this.
I think it's interesting because when you saw the video of him celebrating, there was already boxes. Like, this guy was ready to go. He was like, I'm going somewhere. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going somewhere. But to be fair, I'm just coming off the Netflix special from the Cowboys and the Walker trade, you know, the Hurst trade, and, you know, it worked out for them, right? They went to the Super Bowl not too long after that, and they won. I know I'm living in the past. I'm not even a Cowboys fan or like, but I also thought that 8-part series.
I don't know if those are the same things, though, because the Cowboys at that point, they were absolutely terrible.
But they also gave him for picks, too.
Right, but they were terrible. They weren't in a position to win. This team says they're in a position to win. They have their quarterback. Those Cowboys
saying something and really believing it are two different things.
But those Cowboys back then, they didn't have anything. I think Paul Palmer was their backup running back, and I don't even remember who their quarterback was because they didn't have Aikman yet. They didn't have those guys. They have the quarterback. They have CeeDee Lamb. They got plenty of star players.
I don't think Dak can take him that far.
Dak is
not going to take him to the Super Bowl.
Would you take Dak Prescott right now over anyone in Cleveland?
I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, for crying out loud. Dak Prescott is...
Joe Flacco's been further than Joe Flacco. Okay. I mean, than Dak Prescott.
I understand that.
But I feel you. I totally understand. I'm just saying I don't think that he's going to lead him to the Super Bowl. They had a good run a couple of years ago, and they did not get it done.
Yeah. What needs to happen for the Cowboys to win this trade that does not involve Micah Parsons getting injured? Come up with that brain stew and connect the dots of the type of players they have to hit with those picks. Micah Parsons is on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Yep. Not a Pro Bowl trajectory. Hall of Fame trajectory. What scenario has to happen outside of him getting hurt has to happen for the Cowboys to win this trade? Because that's the objective. Get better, as Fred said. How do you do that? Well, the odds of that are astronomical.
And there's a good chance Green Bay's going to be picking in the 20s.
Right.
And so you're not going to get the blue chip guy in the 20s.
Well, I'll tell you this. It's an hour show, and you know what? We got to talk about the guy who could probably lead the Browns to the Super Bowl. His name is Shedeur Sanders. That's what the people say out there. I'm just saying. Don't
it's been fun, guys.
That's what the people say. That is coming up next on Off the Leash.
Your Cleveland game day starts on 19 News with the Serpentini Tailgate 19, Sunday at 11 a.m. Featuring Mark Schwab and legendary Browns players. Tailgate 19, sponsored by Serpentini Chevrolet.
Start Shedeur.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, what do I want to watch? I want to watch Shedeur Sanders potentially.
Who doesn't want to watch
that?
But put him in, coach.
Yeah,
give the people what they want. The world wants to see him go out there and not only play, but have success. At this point, guys are rooting for him. I say all this as a fellow Clevelander, and I hear with the chatter around Cleveland and how everybody just you get Deion's son in the building. He enjoys being in the limelight. He enjoys being on that football field. He's got excitement. He's the showman when he plays. It's just it's so fun to want to root for that. It's fun to imagine what it would look like if they let 12 go out there and shake it, man.
All right. Well, you heard Travis Swift right there. He wants Shedeur Sanders out there.
I understand.
Mr. Swift contributing to the program.
I had to do it, but Travis Kelce wants Shedeur. So, guys, that's going to be the biggest question of, like, how long are we going to see Joe Flacco start? And, again, Shedeur is the third quarterback. He is the emergency quarterback. So when do we see him actually playing?
Well, you want me to go first?
I'll let Fred go.
I feel like, I said this first time we talked, first podcast, was that Joe Flacco was the most obvious choice to start the season. They're playing 6. They got a gauntlet to open the season. Do you want to throw a rookie quarterback, whether it's Gabriel or Sanders, out there and get eaten alive? I've seen quarterback after quarterback get eaten alive here with the Browns, throwing them out there before they're ready. This regime right now seems like they have a plan to work them, develop them. If things go off the rails with Flacco, there's going to be plenty of time. If these first 6 games they go 1-5 or 0-6, you're going to see a lot of Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Oh. But if things are going well, keep riding. To sell David Njoku, Myles Garrett, Joel Bitonio, Jack Conklin, Denzel Ward, and say you're going to be competitive, the most obvious was Joe Flacco. We'll see what happens, but I'm pretty confident Shedeur will see the field this year.
I think if Joe Flacco stays healthy, you're going to see him through at least the bye week, even if they're terrible. And I do think it's because Kevin Stefanski is a veteran head coach who seems to have a little bit of job security right now because the ownership likes him, the management likes him, and everyone knows he does not have a quarterback. He also wants to keep his veterans interested. And I think if he says, we're 1-4 or 2-6, and I'm going to pull the plug, it's going to cause a lot of guys to say, all right, you know what? I mean, they're still pros, and they're going to go through it, but they're going to grumble. And I think he is going to ride this out to a point where a lot of us are saying, this is ridiculous. Play the kids. Personally, I would rather see Dillon Gabriel than Shedeur Sanders. But I could absolutely see this team being 2-8, and Joe Flacco is running out there to start the 11th game.
Oh, I think after Flacco throws, like, if he has a game where he has 2 interceptions, everyone online, the Shedeur people are going to be absolutely losing their mind. Not necessarily Browns fans, but, like, the Shedeur fans. And I just think it's unfair, like, to call for him, and if the Browns trotted him out there to start off the year, or maybe whatever, even week 5, I don't think that's fair to him. Like you talked about, to just toss a rookie out in this gauntlet. The Browns aren't trying to sabotage him or whatever they're doing. He's being treated like a 5th round pick.
Right.
He's being treated like their 3rd string quarterback. He's getting opportunities. Shedeur fans, if he is good enough, the kid's going to play. Like, the cream will rise, and if the kid is good, he will get his opportunity. But there's also something to be said, like you talked about, of letting the kid develop. He's not the best quarterback in that room right now.
I don't get the sabotage stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And I think that they're saying that because they never let him go with the ones. Period.
They traded up to get him. You don't.
My thing is, the Browns are not the only team that passed on him.
No,
Which
everybody
people forget about that.
I mean, all right, let me flip this around. Is anybody in Pittsburgh in an outrage right now because Will Howard was not given this lion's share of reps with the ones, and why wasn't he given No, they got an old guy they signed, just like the Browns did. They're going to start the old guy. Howard was a late-round pick who did a lot more in college, by the way, than Shedeur Sanders did. And anyone in their right mind goes, oh, he's a 6th-round pick. That's why he's not playing with all the ones and all this stuff. But this one guy on one team All the pockets of weirdos out there are coming out, seem to think this team and organization is out to sabotage him when they were the ones that went out of their way to go get him. It makes no sense. All right, I'm off my soapbox.
I think going out of their way is.
They did. No, they traded up.
Yeah.
You trade up, you go out of your way
They
to
made
get
an
him.
effort.
That is
He
the
was there for
definition of going
forever.
up your draft.
I'm just saying he was there for forever.
But they
Yeah,
traded
but you
up.
traded
they
up.
made
You
the
went
effort.
out of your way. He didn't
I
come to them.
understand. I'm just saying.
They picked up
passed
the
on
phone
him a couple of times.
So, okay, but they still went out of their way to get him.
I still believe that Haslam told them to do that, even though he says that was.
I don't believe that at all.
Why?
What's the evidence of that other than
There's no evidence. That's just what I
thank
think.
you. There's no
There's
evidence
no
of that.
That's just what I
None.
think. What's the evidence of yours?
The general manager makes the picks. Where's the evidence that the ownership has basically
Do you think
decided
that
to
the
play
Cowboys,
fantasy
that the general
football?
manager is making the pick?
What's that?
Oh, never mind. He plays all the roles.
Yeah,
Forget it.
I agree with what they said. I think Andrew Barry said this is in that round at that time. I think he was best available.
And I said this to him. I asked Andrew Barry the question if there was a path to keep 4 quarterbacks, and he said yes. We specifically keep the last 5 spots on our roster for developmental players. Well, who's the developmental player in his mind that he took Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round and Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round? They want to develop him. Gabriel right now is much closer to being ready to play than Shedeur Sanders. The ceiling might be higher with Sanders, but right now, Gabriel is the guy that would be next.
Gabriel just doesn't have that height, more so like how Shedeur does. But it's interesting because we know Kevin Stefanski went to the Ohio State and Texas game. A lot of people are like, okay, did he go out there with the Suns just to have fun, or was he looking at Arch? You know what I mean? We're never going to know.
You can't tell me he wasn't watching the
I
game.
don't believe. I totally believe that he was there. I think they were all watching him.
They're gonna
Which
scout
leads me
all
to
the
believe
quarterbacks.
what are we doing with? What are you guys doing with the quarterbacks? And are you already set? I mean, you're not set, but in your mind, are you already like, okay, we got to go look at these guys. We're not gonna. We're not. Neither one of these guys are gonna be our franchise.
Yeah, I mean, it's
quarterback
2
or
hours
whatever.
down the street. Go. Right?
He literally said he's never been to a big college game like
Yeah.
that. Now all of a sudden you're going? To
I
Ohio
don't think
State
it
and
hurts
Texas?
you to
Does he
scout and just look around. Like the Browns want it to work out with Gabriel or Sanders. Like that's best case scenario. If they throw
Totally.
something against the wall, one of these guys turns out to be their franchise quarterbacks. But I think you also have to know, okay, on the case if this doesn't, well, Arch Manning is down the street, you know,
And
couple
Arch
hours
Manning
away.
is, I mean, they've,
go
Jimmy
see him.
Haslam said this, and this seems to be, a lot of people believe this, that he will be out in the class of 27, not 26. How about this dude, by the way?
Yeah, how about this guy? You know, Nick Chubb, they let him go, they let him walk essentially, and now he's pretty much looking at a big role with the Texans. Could have just kept him.
I really, disappointed with that. The guy only needed 300 yards to pass Leroy Kelly. Could have retired with the Browns, been between them, but you don't do that just for sentiment. But here you went out of your way to get Judkins and Sampson, and now Chubb is, going to be the starting running back. It's to be determined if he's going to be the old Nick Chubb.
All right,
But
just really quickly, how many wins do we think the Browns are going to get this season?
5.
I'm 4. No, I'm 5.
I was going to say 5.
I got him at 8 and 9.
Ooh.
Okay,
Fred.
Well, don't forget Friday Football Frenzy. It goes down at 10:30 on Cleveland's 43. Make sure you tune in to myself, Mark Schwab, and Leah Doherty. Unfortunately, Fred's going to be missing all the fun for that, but you can come visit
It's a
on
good
us.
time.
This is a special edition of Off the Leash. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure if you missed anything, you can catch it on cleveland19.com. See ya. Have a good night.
Night.
Hello, John. Thank you, man.
First Alert weather. First Alert breaking news. This is First at 9 on Cleveland's 43.
Only on 19, new DNA testing in the Amy Mahalovic murder case. It's new hope to find her killer nearly 36 years after the young girl was killed. Plus, a Brooklyn officer punished for a hit and run. The incident all caught on camera. Why his legal troubles may not be over. And we also have an early forecast for the changing leaves this fall, when you can expect the best colors and how the weather is playing a role.
Yeah, beautiful out there today. Temperatures in the upper 70s. Right now, we've settled in the upper 60s and low 70s here at 9 p.m. First Alert Doppler not finding anything rainfall-wise. Let's walk you through, though, tomorrow morning. Heading out the door, upper 50s at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., we're still in the upper 50s, near 60 by 8, and look how quickly we warm things up. Back into the mid-60s by 9 a.m., mostly sunny skies. We will talk more, though, about storms coming in as a cold front approaches. Latest temps and timing, all that here coming up. Tiffany.
All right, Jason, thanks so much for joining us for our newscast at 9 o'clock. I'm Tiffany Tucker. We begin with the story only on 19 News. New DNA testing is now underway in the Amy Mahalovic murder case. Hair, possibly from her killer, is being analyzed at a lab in California after more than 3 decades. New technology may help solve the 10-year-old's murder. Here's Nicole Versansky.
Every time we send something to a lab, we're like, we hope, we hope, we hope.
They're trying to get to their Aunt Phil's house.
New hope for catching Amy Mahalovic's killer. Bay Village Detective Sergeant Jay Ellish tells me hairs, possibly from the murderer, have been found on Amy's clothing. Because of major advancements in forensics and testing, scientists are reanalyzing some evidence, uncovering these new clues, oftentimes so small they had never been detected before. These new hairs, Ellish says, are not Amy's or any of her family members.
We feel that these are sort of important, and we're going to get those tested right now.
Right now, Estrella Forensics in San Jose, California, is examining those hairs.
The lab tests in 2 phases. The first phase is, can we get a profile? And if the answer is yes, we go to phase 2, where we get a profile.
A DNA profile that could be Amy's killer. It's been nearly 36 years since the 10-year-old was kidnapped from a shopping plaza in Bay Village. Her body found 4 months later, stabbed and dumped in a field 50 miles away.
Do you have suspects over the years that you have DNA from that you could potentially try to match with a profile?
Yeah, so we've obtained DNA swabs from around 250 different people with this case. And we've been comparing those profiles to any DNA profile that we're able to get. The hope is that one of these swabs